Adjustable Pleating Template. It helps you to easily mark pleats and spaces across the width of tabled fabric with side hems already turned. It provides flexibility in working around seams, and it also is adaptable to working with fabric widths outside the normal 54 inches. On the template, the ruled tabs represent the fixed spaces, such as the spaces between the pleats, the return, and the overlap. The elastic sections between the ruled tabs, they represent the flexible pleat sizes. To start, calculate the desired finished pleat-to-pleat width. Then calculate the number of spaces, their size, and the number of pleats per your own workroom standards and the desired fullness. For our sample here, the finished pleat-to-pleat width is 24 inches. We'll have 6 spaces of 4 inches and 7 pleats. The return is 4 inches and the overlap is 3.5 inches. This will be a left panel, which makes this the overlap. We want our overlap to be 3.5. That would be the 0 to 3.5 inches here on the ruled tab. We align that 3.5 with the edge of the fabric and anchor it to the table. It is best to anchor your ruled tabs through the stitched part, as opposed to putting a pin out here. Pins in here would affect the stretch of the elastic throughout here and could throw off the pleat sizes from one to the next. Once you have set the overlap, count out the number of pleats. In our case, it would be 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This ruled tab then is the return. Take the return tab and pull it all the way down to the end of the fabric. As you do so, the elastic between each of the ruled tabs expands to apportion all of the fabric into equal sized pleats. Our return is 4 inches. Our space size is also 4 inches. 0 to 4 here is our full return. Align the 0 with the edge of the fabric and anchor in place. Here we can pin right through the elastic because it is only impacting elastic that is not on the fabric. And this is our return. If your return is 5.5 inches, but your spaces are 4 inches, you need to adjust this just a little bit. The 4, which is your space size between pleats, needs to be 5.5 inches in from the return. So we align the 4 with the 5.5 inch return size and anchor in place. Doing it this way ensures that all of the pleats across the width of the fabric are the same size. Another example would be this. If your space size between pleats was 3.5 inches, but your return size is 5 inches, you need to align the 3.5 inch mark on the return tab with 5 inches for the return. Like so. So this is our return, and the 3.5 meets up with the 5, and we anchor it that way. But for our current purposes, our space size and our return size are the same, so we will simply align it as such that the 4 aligns with the 4, and we anchor it in place. Once you have secured the return tab and the overlap tab, you can then check the size of your pleats. If your spaces are 0 to 4, then your pleat is from 0 to 4 across the elastic. So our pleat size is about 6.5, which is very much within range of what we want it to be. This is a 1.5 panel. We have a seam right here that falls in the pleat. Ideally, we prefer the seam to fall within 1/4 to 1/2 inch of the space. With the SPEED Adjustable Pleating Template, it's very easy to make that adjustment. By sliding this ruled tab over so that our seam falls just within the space and anchoring it in place, we now have the seam in the space, and all of the pleats on this side have been reduced an equal amount, and all of the pleats on this side have been expanded an equal amount in order to move that seam into the space. It is very simple to add and subtract pleats. If we want to add a pleat to this, we detach the return tab and simply move it over. We've just added one pleat, and we secure the next one to the edge. All of the pleats across the width of the panel have been reduced an equal amount. If we want to subtract pleats, we do the same thing. We detach the return tab and pull out one pleat and anchor the next return tab in place. And all of the pleats across the panel are expanded equally. Do remember though, if you are adding or subtracting pleats, you need to recalculate your space size. For our demo here, our pleat to pleat finished width was 24 inches, and that was based on 6 spaces of 4 inches each. If we add a pleat, we are also adding a space. So we would have to take that 24-inch desired finished width and divide it by 7 to get our adjusted space size. If we took out one pleat, we are also removing one space, and we would have to calculate our adjusted space size by dividing 24 by 5. Once you're satisfied with all your pleats and spaces and that you have adjusted properly around the seams, you can go ahead and mark your pleats and spaces. The space size is 0 to 4, and the pleat size is 4 to 0. So go ahead and mark. I mark with a pin. Use whatever method you use to mark your pleats and spaces, and just follow the template all the way along to mark pleats and spaces.